Everyone thinks the world runs on money, but there's something way more powerful that controls it all. And in 1973, a handful of men proved it by bringing the richest countries on Earth to their knees. And it gets worse, because you're still paying for it. Imagine waking up to find your car is useless, not broken, just useless. Gas stations have massive lines stretching for miles. Some lines are so long they wrap around entire city blocks. People are literally fighting over fuel. Punches thrown, cars damaged, police called. Your government just announced you can only buy gas every other day, based on your license plate number. Yes, seriously. Odd numbers on Tuesdays, even numbers on Wednesdays, even numbers on Thursdays, like the apocalypse. But with spreadsheets and bureaucracy. This was America in 1973. The world's richest, most powerful nation, the country that put a man on the moon just 4 years earlier, suddenly desperate for oil, panicking, helpless, and it happened almost overnight. Here's what they told you in school. The Arab oil embargo happened because of the Yom Kippur War. Middle Eastern countries cut off oil to punish the West for supporting Israel. Supply dropped, prices went up, people panicked, crisis over. Simple, right? Just another geopolitical conflict with economic consequences. Except that's the Disney version. That's the story they packaged for textbooks because the real truth is way more embarrassing for the people in power. Because the real reason this crisis destroyed economies wasn't the embargo itself. It wasn't just about Middle Eastern politics. It was the financial con America pulled right before it. A move so reckless, it made them desperate enough to get on their knees and beg Arab nations for help. Because 2 years earlier, Nixon did something that would change money forever. August 15, 1971. President Nixon went on live TV and told the world something that should have caused global panic. We're breaking our promise. The dollar is no longer backed by gold. For 27 years, every country on Earth trusted that $35 could be exchanged for 1 ounce of gold. That was the deal. That was the Bretton Woods Agreement, signed in 1944. That's what made the dollar the global reserve currency. That's what gave America its economic power. But America was spending too much on the Vietnam War, printing too much money to fund government programs, and other countries started getting suspicious. France was the first to call the bluff. They started asking, "Hey America, can we actually get our gold back?" And America realized they didn't have enough gold in Fort Knox to cover all the dollars floating around the world. So Nixon just changed the rules, unilaterally, without asking anyone, without negotiating, without a backup plan. It's like owing your friend $1,000. And when they ask for it, you say, "Actually, I've decided that money doesn't exist anymore. Here's a coupon instead." Good luck with that. This destroyed the Bretton Woods system, the financial framework that had kept the world stable since World War II. And it made America dangerously addicted to cheap oil to keep the economy running, because now the dollar was backed by nothing except trust. And trust was fading fast. And when the oil stopped flowing 2 years later, the trap snapped shut. October 1973. The Yom Kippur War breaks out. Egypt and Syria launch a surprise attack on Israel during the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. The war is brutal. Tanks rolling through deserts, fighter jets screaming overhead, thousands dead in days. And then, the Arab nations make a decision that would change global economics forever. Led by Saudi Arabia, they weaponize the one thing the West can't live without: oil. They don't just raise prices, they cut production by 25% overnight. And they announce a total embargo on any country supporting Israel. That meant the United States, the Netherlands, Portugal, South Africa, and Rhodesia. No oil. Period. Oil prices didn't just rise, they quadrupled in 3 months, from $3 per barrel to $12. Then they kept climbing. Gas stations ran dry within days. You'd drive past 10, 15 stations, all with signs saying no gas. Airlines grounded planes because fuel costs made flights unprofitable. Factories shut down, production lines because diesel was impossible to afford. The stock market crashed 48% over the next year and a half. Inflation exploded to 12%, the worst since World War II. People were siphoning gas from strangers' cars in parking lots. Fistfights breaking out at gas pumps. Attendants getting threatened. The President of the United States going on TV begging Americans to turn down their thermostats to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, asking people to carpool, to drive slower, to use less energy. The most powerful man in the world, begging citizens to save fuel. And here's the part historians whisper about when they think no one's listening. This wasn't just a crisis, it was a power shift. For the first time since World War II, Arab nations suddenly controlled the world's most valuable resource. Western nations were powerless, humiliated. For the first time since 1945, America wasn't calling the shots. They were taking orders. This is the moment that built the world you live in today. Henry Kissinger, Nixon's Secretary of State, flew to Riyadh with a briefcase full of promises and a deal that would change everything. Picture it. A man in a suit, sitting across from Saudi royalty in a palace, with the entire Western economy collapsing in the background, and he makes them an offer they can't refuse. We'll protect you militarily. We'll station troops in your region. We'll sell you the most advanced weapons on Earth. F-15, fighter jets, missile defense systems, tanks. We'll make you untouchable in the Middle East. We'll support your regime no matter what. Just do one thing for us. Sell your oil in US dollars, only dollars, forever. No euros, no yen, no gold, dollars. And take the profits from those oil sales and invest them back into our banks, into US Treasury bonds, into American assets. Keep the money flowing back to us. Saudi Arabia looked at the deal, looked at their neighbors, looked at the military, protection being offered, and agreed. Within 2 years, every OPEC nation followed. Kuwait, UAE, Iraq, Venezuela, Nigeria, all of them. Oil sales in dollars only. America just turned its biggest humiliation into the ultimate power move. They lost the oil war in the desert, and somehow won the money war at the negotiating table. The petrodollar system was born, and it's still running today. And here's the number that proves how much this still controls you right now. Since 1974, over 80% of global oil transactions happen in US dollars. Not euros, not yen, not rubles, dollars. Which means every country on Earth, from China to Brazil to Germany to Japan, needs to hold billions in American currency reserves just to keep their lights on, just to buy the energy they need to survive. This gave America 3 superpowers that no empire in history ever had before. 1. They can print unlimited money without suffering hyperinflation the way other countries would, because global oil demand keeps dollar demand artificially high. No matter how much money America prints, the world still needs dollars to buy oil. So demand stays high. It's economic magic. 2. They can weaponize the financial system. They can sanction any country by cutting them off from dollar-based banking. And if you can't access dollars, you can't buy oil. And if you can't buy oil, your economy dies. Your factories stop, your cars stop, your country stops. This is why US sanctions are so devastating. It's not just about trade, it's about energy survival. 3. Your inflation is tied to their decisions. When the US Federal Reserve prints money to stimulate their economy, gas prices in Portugal, Brazil, Germany, and everywhere else go up too. You're not even American, but American monetary policy controls your cost of living. That $2 gas price you saw last year that's now $3.50 or $4, that's not just about supply chains or wars or Putin or OPEC meetings. It's about a system designed in the 1970s to keep the dollar powerful no matter what it costs you, no matter what it costs your family, no matter what it does to your budget. The 1970s oil crisis didn't end. It didn't get solved. It just evolved into a machine that runs on your paycheck, and most people have no idea it even exists. Here's what they don't teach you in economics class because it's too uncomfortable, too real, too politically incorrect. The global economy doesn't run on free markets or fairness or competition. It runs on leverage, on power, on control. Whoever controls the resource everyone needs controls everything else. The prices, the politics, the wars, everything. In 1973, Arab nations controlled the oil. They had the leverage. They had the power. But America controlled the military and the financial system. So they made a deal that turned a crisis into a 50-year monopoly, a deal that's still shaping your life today. Remember those men who brought the richest countries to their knees at the beginning of this video? They weren't villains. They weren't monsters. They were just players in a game where oil was the ultimate weapon. And America figured out how to steal it back without firing a single shot. Every time you fill up your tank, every time you see gas prices jump, every time inflation eats into your salary, you're feeding a system built during a crisis by people who cared more about geopolitical power than your cost of living. Finance isn't logical. It's not about supply and demand the way they teach in school. It's control wearing a suit. It's leverage disguised as economics. And if you think this story is insane, in the year 2000, Saddam Hussein announced that Iraq would start selling its oil in euros instead of dollars. He wanted to break free from the petrodollar system. 3 years later, in 2003, the United States invaded Iraq. Saddam was removed from power, executed, and Iraqi oil sales went back to dollars. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe the system protects itself. Let me know what you think in the comments. Drop a comment. Do you think the petrodollar will last another 50 years? Or is it finally starting to crack? Because countries like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia are already making moves to trade oil in other currencies. The system that started in a crisis might end in one too. Contagem. Pamela une 550 palavras. Aproximadamente 10 minutos de narração, 17.1 devised systematic approach for sequential image generation prompts. Usuário quer que eu crie prompts de geração de imagem para representar a história do script, seguindo instruções específicas. Criar prompts para representar a história do script. Fazer um prompt de imagem na ordem correta a cada 6 segundos. Usar o estilo específico. Create a cartoon-style illustration where the face is detailed and human-like, with realistic facial structure, expressive eyes, a defined nose, and clear shading, but still in a slightly exaggerated, humorous style. A descrição do corpo deve manter o contraste. O script tem aproximadamente 10 minutos, 600 segundos, então precisarei de cerca de 100 prompts, 600, 6 ara 100. Vou criar os prompts seguindo a estrutura temporal do script, mantendo o estilo cartoon com rostos realistas, mas corpo exagerado, humorístico. Vou organizar por seções do script e criar os prompts cronologicamente prompts de imagem para How the 1970s Oil Crisis Changed the Global Economy Forever. Estilo base para todos os prompts. Create a cartoon-style illustration where the face is detailed and human-like, with realistic facial structure, expressive eyes, a defined nose, and clear shading. But the body maintains contrast with slightly exaggerated, humorous proportions.